Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
A local bar under investigation accused of over-serving a San Antonio City councilman. Now other businesses are reacting.
You can't stand up straight, you can't talk straight, then it's time to slow down.
And tonight, a look at what that investigation entails and how other bars are trying to avoid a similar situation.
And a strain at the border leading to some changes. The president sending a message to other countries tonight.
Do not just show up at the border.
The new limits being placed on migrants and the 4 countries it's impacting.
Plus, a pair of local restaurants found with rodents and temporarily closed. Those places now back up and running tonight. What's changed? We go behind the kitchen door coming up. But first, the controversy surrounding San Antonio City Councilman Clayton Perry continues to grow as he faces a DWI charge while on sabbatical. The Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission is investigating allegations of over-serving. Police say that Perry was served 14 drinks in 4 hours at a bar called the Evil Olive. The night team's John Paul Barajas went to that Northside bar tonight. So John Paul, what is next for this business as this investigation plays out?
Well, the Evil Olive is open and operating as usual, and TABC says that is allowed throughout the course of the investigation, that the investigation could take weeks or even months. Now, we tried to speak with management here tonight, but they declined to comment.
Do you realize you were potentially involved in a motor vehicle accident tonight, Clayton?
No. Body cam video shows the moment police found District 10 Councilman Clayton Perry in his backyard not long after they say he hit another driver and took off.
Have you been drinking tonight?
Oh, no. An affidavit says otherwise. It states Perry was served 14 drinks in 4 hours at the Evil Olive. Now TABC is looking into whether he was overserved.
14 of anything aside from water is a little too much, whether it be soda or alcohol.
Ohio Crawford is the general manager at Backyard on Broadway. He tells us the decision to serve customers is done on a case-by-case basis, but it's the establishment and server's responsibility to make sure no one exceeds their limit.
You come to the bar and order, you make eye contact, and we can kind of tell just by the way their eyes are, and then the way that they're standing, if they're like leaning on the bar, how they're talking. Slurred speech is really common too.
Many signs Crawford and TABC say could point to intoxication include slurred speech.
Well, I need to get into the house.
Difficulty standing.
I can't get into the house.
And lack of memory.
Let's see, where was I? Dang.
TABC sent us this statement regarding the Evil Olive. Quote, agents are investigating allegations of overservice at the business as laid out by the recent PC affidavit. There are no findings to report at this time. End quote.
You can't stand up straight, you can't talk straight, and you've had more than 2 drinks in the past hour, then it's time to slow down.
Now, it is worth noting that there is not a specific limit per drinks to serve for someone, but TABC does say that it is against the law to serve someone alcohol who is already intoxicated. If the Evil Olive is found to be at fault in this case, they could see fines or even a suspension at the Evil Olive. John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, John Paul. New on the Nightbeat, San Antonio police slap handcuffs on a middle school teacher accused of soliciting a 14-year-old female student. 49-year-old Lloyd Pegus arrested today, months after the victim's parents filed a report in June. According to police, the girl's parents found messages, pictures, and videos on her phone that were, quote, sexual in nature, end quote. The name of the middle school where Pegus works has not been released. He's charged with online solicitation of a minor.
Right now, Capitol Hill is silent as Republicans dig in their heels and put the U.S. House on hold for a 3rd straight day in a row. Republican Kevin McCarthy has lost 11 rounds of voting since this process began, but he is so far determined not to give up in the standoff with about 20 conservative colleagues who are withholding their support. Without a Speaker of the House, the legislature is essentially frozen. We'll have to wait and see if anything changes tomorrow when House members return for yet another vote. By the way, tomorrow will mark 2 years since the Capitol was invaded by rioters during the January 6th insurrection. Meantime, the Texas legislature is set to get underway next week. Texas lawmakers will have a lot more money to manage when state leaders return to Austin on Tuesday. An estimated $27 billion surplus. So how should they spend that? Give it back to taxpayers or maybe save it for a rainy day? The Night Team's Patty Santos talks to local lawmakers about their legislative priorities.
The state of Texas has nearly $30 billion more to spend. How should they spend it?
I believe they should fix the roads.
Putting it towards hospitals.
Honestly, I would put it in education. Our public schools need a lot of attention.
Support for education, teacher pay, healthcare, and mental health are topics local leaders on both sides of the aisle actually agree on.
We've had so many tragedies around this nation that I believe can be directly attributed to the fact that young people need to have access to mental health care where they are.
From a school safety standpoint, addressing the learning loss from the pandemic, improving compensation and benefits for our teachers, both active and retired.
But how much money should be allocated and exactly where will be harder to narrow.
It's like when we have a bonus at work or that income tax return that you didn't expect. And then you go, hey, well, what have we been putting off that we really need to take care of?
Personally, I'm hoping that maybe we don't spend it all. Maybe we try to save it, knowing we're going to have some needs down the road.
Patrick Svitek with the Texas Tribune will be watching closely. He explains Governor Greg Abbott wants to use it to lower property taxes.
He said that he wants to use at least half of that surplus to provide relief to property taxpayers in Texas, which he said would be the biggest property tax cut in Texas history.
Spending on infrastructure repairs, border security will likely be hot topics, while social conservative issues involving abortion or the LGBTQ+ community might again make Texas-sized headlines.
I wait a little longer usually to see the bills that are ultimately going to be the big blockbuster bills of the session.
And Steve Meyer, one thing a political expert tells us is the strong support of the governor, lieutenant governor, and state house speaker received in the November elections will likely give them more confidence to flex their political power during this upcoming session.
Patty Santos live in the newsroom. Thank you, Patty. A strained immigration system leading to new border policies. President Joe Biden announcing a new limit on the number of migrants the U.S. will take in each month and the way he wants migrants to seek asylum. It's all listed under what's being called the Humanitarian Parole Program. Under the new rules, migrants must apply for U.S. entry before leaving their home countries. After all that, the U.S. will accept up to 30,000 migrants per month from Nicaragua, Cuba, Haiti, and Venezuela. Those who don't fall in line with this policy to seek asylum will be expelled under Title 42. The health measure remains in legal limbo in the Supreme Court.
I know it's a complicated issue. I don't want to pretend there's anything easy about it.
President Biden has called on Congress to pass immigration reform, but with the U.S. House still at a standstill, that's not possible at this moment. The president also preparing for his visit to El Paso on Sunday. The next day, he's set to head to a summit in Mexico City with Mexico's president and Canada's prime minister.
Here at home, smoke and flames up in the air and a mess of mangled metal down on the ground. Police now trying to figure out what led to a deadly crash involving an 18-wheeler. The driver was rescued, but the trapped passenger died. It's been 10 hours since that crash took place today, so let's take a live look at the scene with TransGuide. Crews just cleared this scene on all the wreckage within the last 10 minutes or so. Traffic now moving again. This was near the Loop 410 ramp and I-35 near Benz Engelman Road on the northeast side of the city.
The truck was carrying a spool of metal cable, very heavy. It's unknown how the rig lost control, but it did.
The driver had some minor injuries in all of this. We don't yet know the identity of the passenger who died.
And now for a look at some of today's big headlines in your Nightbeat News Flash. A lit candle left unattended believed to be the cause of this. A grass fire at Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery. A viral video shared on TikTok caught a circle of flames surrounding several headstones there. The San Antonio Fire Department says 37 headstones affected, along with about 200 plots on Tuesday. Most of those headstones were covered in soot. The son of drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman captured. The Mexican military made the arrest this morning outside a stronghold for the Sinaloa drug cartel in western Mexico. The arrest of Ovidio Guzman apparently involved gunfire. As a matter of fact, a commercial airline says one of its jets was hit by a bullet from that shootout before takeoff, but the passengers and crew were safe. Alleged cartel members responded to the arrest by creating chaos, carjacking people, setting cars on fire. This comes days after President Joe Biden, as we said, is set to visit Mexico for a summit. Nearly 200,000 people lined up to see Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI lie in state over the last few days. Today, about 50,000 gathered in St. Peter's Square to honor him before he was laid to rest. Before his death, Benedict had requested a simple ceremony. He's considered one of the 20th century's greatest theologians. He's also remembered as the first pontiff in some 6 centuries to retire. And that's a look at your Nightbeat News Flash. There's still much more to come on the Nightbeat, though, tonight, including behind the kitchen door, 2 restaurants shut down by health inspectors because of rodent infestations.
Have you guys been able to solve the rodent problem?
No. Well, I don't know anything about this. Hold on.
So did they or didn't they? What the business told Tim Gerber when he takes us behind the kitchen door. Next on the Nightbeat. New tonight, the health department recently suspended the licenses of 2 restaurants due to rodent infestations.
But the businesses were back up and operating when the Night Team's Tim Gerber stopped by this week to find out if they have made the required corrections. Here's what Tim found behind the kitchen door.
Yaya's Thai restaurant in the 5300 block of McCullough Avenue had its license temporarily suspended following an inspection in late November that earned them a 76. The inspector found rodent droppings on plates and other signs of live rodent activity in the business. The restaurant not allowed to reopen until it removed the rodent droppings and the areas were cleaned and sanitized. I dropped by this week to see if they'd made any improvements.
Have you guys been able to solve the rodent problem?
No. Well, I don't know anything about this. Hold on. Sorry, 1 minute.
Only on his second day on the job, Sam Namdi quickly returned with some information. He said they were only closed for a day and a half to clean the restaurant.
Does the rodent problem still exist, or?
Not that I know of. I don't see them around.
They're still in the process of hiring an exterminator and waiting for a follow-up inspection. They hope customers give them a second chance.
We just want them to know that they're in good hands and that, we just want to make sure our food quality is coming out at its best in the most safe and cleanest environment.
La Cabana de Jalisco also had its license suspended in late November due to a rodent problem, earning them a 73. There were rodent droppings found in dry rice storage. That food was condemned. More rodent droppings were found throughout the business. The ice machine had black and red mold-like sludge, and stored knives still had food debris on them. Tortillas were found wrapped in a cloth rag, and an employee was seen handling more tortillas with their bare hands.
Hello. I'm with KSAT 12. Is there a manager I could speak with?
Brian Ramirez explained they shut down for 2 days and thoroughly cleaned the family-owned business.
Have you been able to keep the rodents out then?
Yeah, it's been a lot better.
He hopes customers remember the high scores they've had in the past.
And we do our best, we do what we can, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So when that happened, we were just kind of like, man, we have to clean up, do everything, and that's what we did.
Tim Gerber, KSAT 12 News.
The Traffic Authority making you aware of a major road closure tomorrow. It's happening on the north side of town near 281 and 1604. Crews will be working on some bridge repair work near Gold Canyon. It's going to have a larger impact, though. TxDOT says they're going to close Loop 1604 at Gold Canyon in both directions tomorrow night at 9. Ramps connecting 281 to Loop 1604 East will also be closed. Those closures expected to last until 5 a.m. Monday.
Look outside tonight with live cam. Cooler temperatures settling in this evening, but will that chill we've had the last couple of mornings be back tomorrow? Adam Caskey.
Not as much. You'll notice a bit of a chill in the morning, and we'll be in the upper 40s to start the day, but not the lower 40s and even some, mid 30s like we had in the hill country the past few mornings. So tomorrow morning we'll start the day at 48 degrees with a little bit of fog here and there. So cloudy and the low clouds to start the day, but then we'll have sunshine by the noon hour. 75 and sunny by the afternoon. More noticeable changes will be coming as we get into the weekend. Tomorrow, though, upper 70s, especially southeast of town. Pleasanton, Floresville, Nixon, Smiley, about 78 degrees for the high. But let's talk rain. We boosted the rain chances a bit for Saturday. However, it comes with a caveat here, and this is important. It's high at 60%. That's just because we expect a lot of drizzle and very light sprinkles. Less than 1/10 of an inch is what we're expecting out of this. So some dampness and moisture, yes, for a good portion of us, but accumulation and any meaningful rain from it, mostly not. Some real showers and even a few thunderstorms possible Saturday night, especially east of San Antonio. We only have a 30% chance, and then that'll linger into early Sunday morning. So let's talk about our overall setup. And we still have that moisture coming on shore in the western U.S. Now it's moving over the Rockies, the blue indicating the higher elevation snow. Another system that's gearing up, and another atmospheric river moving onshore for this weekend for the West Coast. So after all the record-breaking rain and some flooding, well, here comes another system on its heels. And this is going to influence our weather a little bit. We're not going to tap into that deep moisture, but the little disturbance is going to pass to the north of us, help generate a new cold front, a weak one that's going to hit us late on Saturday. So let's talk about our future cast here. Fast forward to Saturday, low clouds. Notice a little bit of green popping up on the radar. This is what we've been talking about for days, and now our high resolution futurecast is within range to display it for you. And yeah, mainly just dampness here and there, no real showers, a few sprinkles, basically reduced visibility from fog, some damp roads, damp sidewalks, and wet trails, but less than 1/10 of an inch for most, if not all of us. And then we get into Saturday evening and Saturday night. Notice 7 p.m., a few thunderstorms and real showers could pop up east of San Antonio, especially Lavaca County, Gonzales County, Karnes County, DeWitt counties, and points eastward. Here's the newest drought monitor. Of course, we'll take every drop we can get, though what's coming for us in the most drought-stricken areas is not even going to put a dent in it. You look at the latest drought monitor updated today. Northern Bexar County, exceptional drought. That's the worst category. That stretches through all of Kendall County, good portion of Comal County, and some other surrounding areas. And it's really the worst spot in the entire state of Texas. A good chunk of Texas, half, isn't even in drought. Most of that East Texas and then along the Gulf Coast, even a little bit of West Texas seen a break from the drought right now. The January precipitation outlook from the Climate Prediction Center has our area in the brown. That means odds favor below average precipitation for the month of January. And no surprise, above average in the West Coast. They're already, well, above average. And other than that little shot here on Saturday and Saturday night, remember, most of Saturday is just the drizzle and sprinkles, some fog. Saturday night, 30% chance of some of those quote unquote real showers. Other than that, we're looking sunny and dry. 72 on Saturday. Sunday will be our lowest high of 68. Otherwise, next week, sunny and comfortable.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
All right. Spurs lose a couple games and they lose a star player, Greg.
Yeah, indefinitely right now. They're calling it an arthroscopic procedure for Devin Vassell. When we come back, we'll let you know more details about that. And also, University of Texas fires their head basketball coach coming up. Starter Devin Vassell will have an arthroscopic procedure on his left knee this coming Wednesday. The Spurs tell us the surgery will be performed by Dr. Riley J. Williams III in New York on January the 11th, and there's no timetable for his return. Vassell has been bothered by soreness in that left knee, causing him to miss 2 games before returning against Brooklyn, only to have to sit out in the Spurs' loss to the Knicks in New York last night. In his absence, you should see more playing time for Romeo Langford and Malachi Branham. Spurs made a trade today with the Boston Celtics, who they will host this Saturday at the AT&T Center. The Spurs sent a protected second-round draft pick to the Celtics in exchange for Noah Vonleh and cash considerations, but the Spurs in wave center Gorgie Dang to complete the deal before waiving Vonleh as well. Here's the matchup. Next up will be the Detroit Pistons. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock, we begin our live coverage at 5 tomorrow. University of Texas has fired head basketball coach Chris Beard effective immediately. That's after he was arrested less than a month ago for felony domestic violence. Beard had 5 years left on a 7-year contract that paid him $5 million a year, but also contained a clause that said that he could be fired if arrested on felony charges. Beard was arrested back on December the 12th at his home in Austin after his fiancee told police he choked her, bit her, and hit her after she broke his glasses. She would later recant her story through an attorney, saying she never told police he choked her and that she did want him arrested or prosecuted. Beard has been suspended without pay since his arrest, and assistant Rodney Terry has been leading the team that is now 12-2 overall, 1-1 in the Big 12. Beard was hired by UT in 2021 after leading Texas Tech to the NCAA Tournament Championship game in 2019. Here's a statement from Chris Del Conte, the athletic director at UT. The University of Texas has parted ways with Chris Beard. This has been a difficult situation that we've been diligently working through. Today, I informed Mr. Beard of our decision to terminate him effective immediately. We thank Coach Rodney Terry for his exemplary leadership, both on and off the court at a time when our team needed it the most. We are grateful he will remain the acting head coach for the remainder of the season.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
Unbelievable news coming from the Buffalo Bills today when it comes to the recovery of safety Damar Hamlin. Physicians caring for Damar at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center say he is awake and even asked in writing who won the game where he suffered a cardiac arrest. Damar had shown remarkable improvement over the past 24 hours while still critically ill. He has demonstrated that he appears to be neurologically intact. His lungs continue to heal. He's making steady progress. The statement ends with, "We are grateful for the love and support we have received today." For the first time, we heard from the Bills quarterback Josh Allen, who became emotional when talking about the moment the chilling incident unfolded.
Being on that field, you lose sleep, you hurt for your brother, a lot of shared grief, but to the question before, getting updates and positive updates eases so much of that pain and that tension that you feel.
Now, a decision has been made by the NFL not to resume the Bills-Bengals game. Commissioner Roger Goodell confirmed that tonight as they work on seeding for the playoffs. With just one game left in the regular season against the Commanders in Washington on Sunday, the Dallas Cowboys not only have the opportunity to win the NFC East, but the number one seed in the NFC, depending on what happens with the Eagles and the 49ers. Running back Ezekiel Elliott, how does the team approach this game knowing it could be his last season wearing the star?
We approach it like every other game. We're looking to get a win, build some confidence, to build some momentum going into these playoffs. You definitely want to have the opportunity to improve our seeding and a chance at winning the division. But we just want to handle all our business and do what we need to do to make sure we're putting our best foot forward heading into the playoffs.
All right, the San Antonio Brahmas have released their schedule for 2023, the first in the XFL, and will open with a home game against St. Louis at 2 p.m. in the Alamo Dome. That game will be live on KSAT 12, followed by games against Orlando, Houston, Seattle, Arlington. Then the second game of back-to-backs against Arlington will also be live on KSAT 12, as well as a game against Houston and then D.C. to wrap up their 10-game schedule. Here for the players participating in the San Antonio Sports High School Football All-Star Game. Next. We heard from the head coaches on Wednesday. Now it's time to hear from the players participating in this Saturday's San Antonio Sports High School Football All-Star Game presented by HEB. A total of 118 student athletes representing 64 high schools have been chosen to play on Saturday at 5 in the Alamo Dome.
To see everybody in all different areas, doesn't matter if you're private school, 1A, 2A, 3A, or even 6A, to come together and play as one for our final year, to come together, it's amazing.
Honestly, it's great. It's like, you kind of think about the better players on every team and how if y'all were on one team, what y'all could do. Well, I guess this is our chance to see.
Be pretty cool. It'll follow the All-American Bowl, which is at noon in the Alamo Dome. That kicks off at 5 as well. So you see the top high school football athletes, not just in San Antonio area, but in the country too.
Yeah, at the Dome, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
We'll be right back.
A little bit of fog in the morning tomorrow, otherwise sunny, making it into the mid-70s again this weekend. You'll notice the humidity on Saturday and just some dampness, especially the first part of the day. A few showers and storms by the nighttime, but don't expect much out of it. Then we get into Sunday and 68 degrees. That's going to be the lowest high temperature that we have, the coolest high. Otherwise, next week, more 70. So looks and feels good, but, we need the rain.
Yeah, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Adam and I appreciate you letting us keep you up late, Myra.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Bye.
See you tomorrow.